Welcome back! My name is ballerscuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1981, and today we're going to talk about Ultima. The story of Ultima starts with Richard Garriott. We previously mentioned Richard Garriott in 1979. He created the role-playing game Akalabeth while still in high school. The game proved to be surprisingly successful, so Garriott began looking toward game design as a potential career. As a freshman at the University of Texas, Garriott began working on expanding Akalabeth into a new game. From the beginning this time, the game was seen as a commercial endeavor. The game was coded in AppleSoft BASIC on an Apple II computer. Garriott's friend Ken Arnold helped program. It was Arnold that wrote code in the assembly language to create the tile-based graphics system. The game was originally going to be named Ultimatum, but a pre-existing board game prevented that name from being used, so the name was changed to Ultima. Programming happened quickly. With just the two programmers, Ultima was finished in less than a year. Ultima is a role-playing game for the Apple II. The player controls a character that is created when the game starts, similar to how it is done in Dungeons & Dragons. The player will choose a race and a class, which will change the character's statistics accordingly. Then, the player will join the world of Sosaria. Similar to Akalabeth, moving the player through the map is in a top-down third-person view. However, once a dungeon is entered, the view changes to a first-person perspective. Ultima, however, adds first-person space shooter sequences. Ultima was published by the California Pacific Computer Company in June 1981, selling for $39.95, coming in the form of a floppy disk and an instruction manual. For a game of this scope, the instructions that come with the game must be detailed to make sure the player can succeed, so we will read quite a bit from the manual, but we will attempt to break the reading up into several parts. We will start with a section of the 1986 version of the manual, named The Adventure. Hail, noble one! Our land is in need of a stalwart hero, one who will brave perils too horrific to consider. A plague has befallen the realm, a scourge is upon the land. Our villages lie sacked, ruinous mounds of ashes where once trod peasants stout of heart and sound of mind, where once lay fields of grain and fruit, where kine and fowl grew fat upon the bounties of our fair Sosaria. All manner of wicked and vile creatures prey upon our people and ravage the land. 'Tis the doing of one so evil that the very earth trembles at the mention of his name. Mondane the wizard hath wrought his malice well. Our nobles bicker amongst themselves, and each hath retired to the confines of his keep in hopes of watching the downfall of his rivals. Verily, the evil one had heaped indignity upon curse by releasing upon the realm a host of creatures and beasts so bloodthirsty and wicked that our defenseless people fall as grain before the reaper's scythe. These denizens of the underworld hold sway over all that can be surveyed, save for the strongholds of the nobles besotted with their own ambition. Nowhere in our once peaceful country may a traveler find safe passage or lodging, save in the keeps of the self-proclaimed kings, and they demand hard labors for their indulgences. Only the young Lord British remains steadfast in the vision of a peaceful and united Sosaria. In his castle and his town, the pure of heart will find an ally and replenishment for the needs of one who hath chosen to fight for the realm. Aid us in ridding our land of the scourge that hath befallen us, O noble one. We beseech thee, for without thine aid we shall surely perish before the onslaught of the maleficent necromancer. Slay the evil Mondane. With the setting now set, it's time to get into the game for ourselves. And here we are in the game. This is Ultima, As you can see, it does say Ultima 1. This is not the original version of the game. We're playing a re-release that came out in 1986 and 1987. The reason that we're playing this version of the game is mostly due to load times. If you saw some of the adventure games that we played earlier for the Apple II, you'll probably know what I mean about load times. In a game like this, it is going to be a detriment to a modern audience to see load times just kind of go over and over again every time you try to make a move. This game's a long game. There's no reason for me to make it longer with the load times that I'm sure a lot of people will be upset about. So that's the reason that we're playing this version of the game. There are a couple other changes in this version. They're minor in the scope of things. The graphics, of course, are going to be a little bit better. There's a couple other small changes, but those are the main ones. The load times and the graphics, they're better in this version. So we're going to play this version instead of playing the original, but I will do my best to show what the original did look like in the intro. Hopefully I remembered to do that. So let's get into the game. I will say that we're not going to get too far into it today because the game's going to be so long and there's so much for me to set up that by the time we actually get through it and we get everything set up, chances are the time will run out and we will have to pick up back there next time. Plus, there's going to be some work I have to do without recording. I haven't decided how much of that to do yet, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So, Ultima 1. From darkest dungeons to deepest space. We're going to go to space. We have two options, apparently. We can generate a new character and we can continue previous game. Thy choice. There's not really a choice at this point. You have to generate a new character. So let's do that right now. We have made it to the character generation screen. Now, this is going to be important for how you start, but as time goes on, the character generation is not going to be necessarily as important as you might think if you are familiar with role-playing games. This is our first role-playing game for the channel, for the project, I should say, for video games over time. So I'm going to go through things slowly this time in case you are not familiar with what is going on, because things get complicated. I'll try to go quickly, but there's a lot to talk about. We have points that we can distribute amongst our 6 stats. And these stats are fairly common in role-playing games, but what they specifically do in this game is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. So let's talk about these kind of briefly, and then we will see how that changes as time goes on. These aren't going to be everything that these do, but they're going to be an introduction. First, we have strength. That affects how much attack power you have. So the more strength you have, the more damage you do, so to speak. Then we have agility. Agility will affect the chance of any attack that you do actually hitting your opponent. It increases your accuracy, so to speak. It also affects how much of a chance you have of dodging an enemy's attack when they try to hit you. And then there is stealing in this game. So if you do want to steal, agility will increase your chance of having a successful steal. Don't get caught. And the way to not get caught is to have agility. Then there's stamina. Stamina will change how much HP you lose when you get hit. For those of you who don't know, HP is health points. It's like a numerical figure of how much life you have, and when it hits 0, you're dead. So having health points is good. You want to keep your health points. You want to have stamina. It also affects how much you can drink, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Then we have charisma. Charisma is going to be a little different than what people are used to in other role-playing games. Charisma will change the amount of gold that basically you get, that you can buy things for and you can sell things for. So when you increase your charisma, people are nicer to you financially. I guess that's a little strange for me, at least. Then we have wisdom. Wisdom will change the probability of any magic that you use of landing. You want to increase your magic accuracy. That's going to be wisdom. Then we have intelligence. Intelligence is going to affect the power of your magic, and it's also going to affect the prices of purchasing magic, if memory serves me correctly. I always get wisdom and intelligence confused, but I believe that intelligence affects the prices when you go to buy magic. And we'll talk about that more when we buy things. All right, so what we want to do is try to set up our character. Now, this is going to be important when we start, and then it's going to be less and less important as time goes on. We are going to go with something that gives us an easy start. That's the way that I'm going to look at this. So what I want to do is I want to put a lot of points in strength. We'll put that up to 20. We'll also put it into agility and stamina. And I think that's going to give me an easier start, which at this point is all I really care about. I'm just trying to get an easier start to the game because there's going to be a lot of work involved in the game. Okay, so let's go to the next screen here now that we have our character set up, I guess. We now have the choice of selecting a race. We have human, elf, dwarf, and bobbit. Bobbits are basically hobbits. But let's talk about those. There is an entry in the manual for those, so let's try to get some lore to these different races. This is in a section called Fellowship for this version of the game, for the record. The lands of Sosaria are populated by a diversity of races as varied as the elements. From the tiniest bobbit to the most towering human, our folk show a strength of character unknown in other parts of the world. Until the coming of the foul mundane, our folk lived in harmony and worked together in the true spirit of comradeship. The principal inhabitants of Sosaria are human. Endowed with a natural intellect higher than any other race, the humans are the backbone of Sosarian society. Found in all walks of life, they are strong of body and of unexcelled spirit. Elf, shorter than their human counterparts by the span of 3 hands, the elves of Sosaria are slight of build and swift of movement. Their superior natural agility makes them excellent musicians and clever thieves. At home amongst the trees of the deepest forest or in the alleyways of the capital, the Sosarian elf makes a stalwart companion and a relentless foe. Dwarf, mountain-fold and legendary miners, the dwarves of Sosaria stand but half a human's height, yet often outweigh slender elves. They are matchless in courage and possess an inordinate endowment of natural strength. Never accept the Sosarian dwarf's challenge to wrestle for drinks in a tavern, unless thy supply of gold be endless and thy generosity ample. And finally, we have Bobbit. Bobbit, a small and gentle race. The Sosarian Bobbits are believed to have come to our realm from a distant place. They are said to favor mountainside meadows and the serenity of forest clearings. Their diminutive height being even less than that of a dwarf, they shun any task which involves hard physical labor, preferring instead to pursuits of study and contemplation. Bobbits are naturally weak, yet possess a serenity indicative of profound wisdom. So there's a lot of different options here. What it ends up doing is giving you stats when you choose your character. So if you choose a human, your intelligence will go up by 5. If you choose an elf, your agility will go up by 5. If you choose a dwarf, your strength will go up by 5. And if you choose a hobbit, your wisdom will go up by 10, but your strength will go down by 5. So once again, I'm going to try to put myself in the best position early on, which means dwarf. We're going to go with a strong character. That's kind of been the goal the whole time. All right. So let's go ahead and pick dwarf, and then we can pick a sex. This doesn't necessarily change anything. It just kind of changes what your character feels like to you. So I'm going to be male because I am. Then we have the professions. Now, there are 4 professions. Once again, there is a section, I should say, in the manual for it, so let's go ahead and read that. Professions. Whilst the professions practiced by our folk are numerous, there are but 4 courses of action that may be followed by the novice adventurer. These are fighter. The rigorous training involved in learning to become a fighter results in a stronger, more agile adventurer. The knowledge acquired during this period permits the fighter to use virtually every kind of weapon that might be found in Sosaria. Cleric, a profession suited to those who are of an introspective nature. The study of the ways of the cleric requires patience and results in a good deal of wisdom. Such is their calm and concentration that at no time will the proper spell cast by a cleric fail to attain its desired result. Wizard. To become a wizard in our realm, one must study long and diligently, poring over ancient writings and dusty tomes. Mastery of the arcane art comes not easily, yet such training hones the intellect to a superior edge. The fruits of the long years of discipline are deemed to be worth the effort, however, for only the wizard may purchase the necessary supplies for the casting of the more powerful enchantments. And finally, thief. Whilst not a profession held in the highest esteem among those charged with maintaining the public order, thieving is a trade that often serves the adventurer well. Many of the explorer's finds are guarded by clever and devious traps that require nimble fingers and a dexterous hand. Larceny and the opening of locks comes much easier for the thief than for other mortals, for they who follow this occupation are endowed with exceptional agility. And once again, we are talking about stats at the end of the day. For a fighter, it's strength plus 10 and agility plus 10. For a cleric, it's wisdom plus 10. For a wizard, it's intelligence plus 10. And for a thief, it's agility plus 10. Now, there's basically 3 schools of thought on how to go with your character. You can either be a dwarf fighter, you can be a bobbit wizard, or you can be an elf thief. Those are kind of the classic ways of going in the game. I'm not going to deviate from that. I'm going to go with fighter. It gives me the best stats. So being a fighter gives me 20 points here when everything else would give me 10. So we're going to go with fighter. Enter thy name. I'm not sure if it's going to let me do... Wow, you're only going to pick up half the letters if I type too fast. All right, they let me put in my full name. We'll go with it. Ballerscuba, the dwarf male fighter, is going to get into things. Save this character? I will. So now we're back to the main screen. So when it said continue previous game, it basically meant continue a game or start a game. Just to get into the game, you need to continue previous game. So let's go ahead and get in. Now I have to choose which one. Type number of character you wish to use in Ultima 1. So we're going to choose number 1 here. All right, now here we are. Does food go away if I just stand still here for a bit? I don't think it does. I'm going to keep an eye on it, though. So here we are on what's known as the Overworld. Now, in the Overworld, you're basically walking across a map, and your character is going to be huge compared to what you would expect when you're, walking in the real world. Your character, as you can see here, my character, is about the same size as the castle over there. We're going to go to that castle eventually. Even though my character does have a sword and shield out, I should point out that my character does not have that actually equipped right now. It's just what the sprite looks like. It's just what they're using to convey that my character exists, but that does not mean that I actually have these things ready. So when I start the game, I do have a few things on me, but what I want to do to start is to ready things. The controls in this game are literally pretty much the entire keyboard. I think only P doesn't do anything. Every other key does something. So you might hear me say a letter. That's the button to actually make these things happen. So we're going to start by readying a weapon. That's R. Now we have an option. We can ready a weapon, we can ready armor, or we can ready a spell. We do have weapons on us, so let's ready a weapon. We have hands and we have a dagger, so we're going to choose the dagger. If you are playing the original Apple version of the game, you have to actually type in DA for dagger, but in this version, luckily I can just hit B. And there we go, we have readied the dagger. So then let's ready our armor. We do have armor as well. We have leather armor. Let's go ahead and put that on. Okay. Now we are officially ready to tackle whatever is coming our way. And we have lost food. So let's look at the corner of the screen here where it says hits. And I have 150 hits. Those are my hit points. That's my HP. If that hits 0, I die. So let's make sure that stays as high as possible. You might notice that there isn't necessarily a maximum here. It just tells me how many hit points I have right now. That's the way that this game functions. If you're used to later versions, there's like a maximum and all that kind of stuff. Not in this version. There is just, this is how many hits you have. And that is it. In the next one is food. That is literally food. And for every 2 actions that I take right now, I am going to consume 1 food. Should I run out of food, should that hit 0, I die instantly. So let's also make sure that I never run out of food. Probably a good idea. Then we have experience. That's how many experience points you have. As we kill things, as we accomplish certain things, we're going to get experience, and that's going to make us stronger. Then we have coin. That's pence. I believe they call it pence in this game. I have 100 pence. It also can be referred to as 1 gold. I have 1 gold because I have 100 pence. They'll refer to them as gold, silver, and copper. Those are basically the digits. Copper is 1s, silver is 10s, and golds are 100s, and they're all going to be transferred the same. Okay, so let's go first over to this castle here. We've walked over to the castle. I've lost 6 food. In order to enter, you hit E for enter, and we have made it to the castle of Lord British. Now, this is going to be an important character. He was mentioned in the setup, in the manual. He's also the alter ego of Richard Garriott himself, the creator of the game. So, Lord British is probably going to be important. You can see Lord British in the top right corner here. This is what the castle looks like. Most of the people that you're seeing are guards. There is also the person in yellow. He's over on the far right, next to where you have to assume Lord British is. That's a jester. I believe his name is Iolo. I think it's Iolo. Don't stand next to him. He likes to steal stuff. He will steal stuff if he's standing right next to you, so don't let that happen. Then we have Lord British on his throne. He's going to be important. And then we have a prison down there, and it looks like there's a woman in there. That is going to be the princess, and we'll deal with that when we can. All right. Oh no, this is Guino. I thought it was Iolo. I think there's a couple different jesters. Guino the jester sings, "I've got the key." That's probably important for something. These are pawns here in the middle of the castle. They are going to be relatively important. I'm going to try to avoid them for now, but we might have to deal with that at some point. All right, he's still got the key. So here is Lord British. We can talk to him. So let's hit T for talk, but really it's T for transact, and we're technically transacting with him. All right, transact with king. Does thou offer pence or service? So he's asking, are we offering money to him? If we offer him money, he'll give us something in return. It's not necessarily worth it right now. So we're going to offer our service to him. What do you want us to do? Go forth and find the grave of the lost soul. Do not return until thy quest is done. Well, all right. I don't know about that. We probably won't be doing that one for a while, but that is our first technically quest in the game. For those of you paying careful attention, you might want to write that down. I think we'll be fine without it. Guino's still talking about how he has a key. All right, so let's get out of here, and we will go to this neighboring town. And here is town. This is what town looks like. As you can see, there's still a lot of guards here. But there's a lot of things that are, also going on. Oh, no, Iolo's the bard. Iolo the bard. He also steals from you. This is why I got him confused. Stay away from him too. Ho-yo-yum. That's Iolo the bard. He's the one in yellow here too. So stay away from him. All right, so we have food here. We're going to need to buy some food. Transact, and we're going to buy. This is Lil Corellia's Finnish grocery. Packs of 10 food cost 5 pence each. What dost thou wish to purchase? If only I was smarter or more charismatic. People might help me out financially here. We are going to need some food. I try to keep it above 200 at all times. Let's try to get 5 packs of food for now. All right. So I'm up to 242 food, and I lost some coin. That's going to happen. Let's head over to the weapon shop here. What do you have for me? He has mace and rope and spikes. I'm going to go ahead and buy the mace. Now, you might be wondering, hey, didn't you just equip the dagger? What are you doing, getting rid of that already? Yes, but I want to hit harder. And the thing is that there is a possibility that before I even made it to this castle, something comes along and tries to hit me. So I try to equip it right from the get-go. But we're going to buy a mace. As you can see, it's on C. So it is a stronger thing. They don't really tell you that, though. So let's go ahead and ready that. Ready. Weapon. And we're going to ready the mace. As you can see, it's now on C again. That's kind of standard. It's the next level up. That's how you know when things are more important. Now, we can technically sell the dagger. I'm not going to do that because I might need it again. We'll talk about that when we get there. But you don't necessarily want to sell all your old equipment in this game. That's not necessarily a thing that you want to do too often. All right, then we have the armor shop here. As you can see, chainmail is something that I might want eventually. So is the plate mail. I can't afford either one right now, and I wouldn't waste your money on leather armor right now. There might be a point where, once again, you need multiple instances of your equipment, but that is not yet. Not yet. Oh, I didn't say the names of these places. This is the armor shop of Lord Eldric de Charbonneau. And this is the weapon shop of Lord Eldric de Charbonneau. Stay away from me. Okay. Back up to the transport shop. Now, this is something that's a little unique to these games that you don't see too often. This is Scooter's Super Duper Transport Incorporated. Here you can buy transportation in the world. You can actually move around the world with these things. You can get a horse, you can get a cart, you can get a raft, and you can get a frigate. Now, if you're in these pieces of transport, as you move around, you will consume less food. So if you have a horse, there's a small increase in your ability to move without consuming food. Right now, it's 2 actions. If you're in a horse, I believe it's still basically 2. But every once in a while, you get 3 actions before you consume a food. That when you move around on the horse. So eventually we are going to want that in order to preserve how much food we use. But right now, the horse even is a little bit too expensive for me. So we're going to say no to that. And we're going to avoid you if I can. Okay. That was a little scary. He might have gotten me. I think I'm all right, though. Let's head over here to the magic shop. This is Mad Chad's magic shop. He has 3 spells. He has Open, he has Magic Missile, and he has Ladder Down. these are going to be things that we kind of talk about as we go forward, but open is a spell that will open things for you and basically avoid traps. Magic missiles, more of an attack spell, and ladder down is a spell that allows you to go down one level in a dungeon should we get to a dungeon. It is useful at some point, but the way that this game works, it might be better for you to fight your way down kind of naturally than take the ladder down. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. So let's move on. Try to avoid a YOLO again. He is not in a good position for me here. Luckily, I don't lose food in town. But, like, go somewhere else. You know what? I'll be fine. Alright, I think I avoided him that time. Alright, so then we can head to the pub. Now, the pub is where you can drink. So let's drink. We'll buy 1 ale. It costs 1 gold. Unfortunately, we didn't learn anything, so we'll try it one more time. Buy an ale. Here, have a cold one. And then we didn't learn anything. You can hear rumors every once in a while, but we have not heard anything there. All right. I think we are good for now. So let's actually move on. Let's go somewhere. We are going to head east. Now, enemies don't show up too often in the overworld here, but there's one. And he's hitting me already. And it's a warlock. Okay. 16 damage already. All right, so we're going to attack with the mace, and we're going to attack left. 12 damage to him, 6 damage to me. Okay. We won. Hooray. That was kind of unlucky for us to get something like that this early on. All right, so heading to the east, we can find the town of... Let's enter. Yeah, this is the City of Moon. Now, once again, we have guards. The towns look very similar a lot of the time, but there is something, worthwhile here. Let's head over to the grocery store. You might notice that there is still Iolo the Bard walking around. It's still him. Transact and buy, and we can buy more food should we desire. We'll get 2 more. Just to be on the safe side. I did get some money after all by killing that guy out in the world. Let's see what's available in the magic shop. This is Mystic Melinda. She has unlock and ladder up. Am I confusing open and unlock? That's very much a possibility. Let's see here. Unlock. Yeah, I might be, because unlock unlocks treasure chests. Then what does open do? Open... Oh, no. Open opens coffins. Unlock opens treasure chests. They're different. This is why I'm getting them confused. The game has very specific things going on for it. All right, let's head up to the armor shop, see what you have available. You have the same thing that we saw before, so not interested right now. And you have an axe, which is slightly better than what we have. So we might as well purchase this. Then we'll ready our weapon, and we'll get that axe on. All right, so we have our axe. It's better than the mace, and better than the daggers. All right, now we have the inn, the old local pub, and we didn't learn anything. We'll try one more time. Have a cold one. We didn't learn anything. You don't want to do that too often. There is a chance that you will get drunk and get seduced by a wench. And when you get seduced by a wench, you lose all your money. It's not something I would recommend too often. Okay, so we are done with town. Let's try to find ourselves a dungeon. You might be thinking to yourself, aren't you a little low on hit points? Do you really want to go into a dungeon? Yes. That's the way that this works. Of course, the necromancer is here. Okay. We got some things going for us. This is not going too well right now, though. Try to stay. Keep on hitting them. Keep on hitting them. Okay. We got some money, but we're also low on hit points. You know what? Let's go on the other side there. Let's go in here. So let's head to this dungeon, and we'll head in and enter. We've entered the mines of Mount Drash. Now what we want to do is hit K for climb. Did we not do anything? I thought we were going to be fine here. Thought we were good. Let's keep on heading up this way. There we go. That's the one I was actually looking for. But that one was closer, and I thought that going in would work. But let's head in. This is the Dungeon of Montor, and there is a chest here. So let's hit O for open the chest. There's nothing there. Oh, is it unlock? That has set off a trap. All right, I found 8 copper there. Okay, let's not stick around too much here. You might notice that we're in first-person perspective here. So turning left, going forward, all that kind of stuff. We're looking for like one monster. I don't want to go too far here. Okay, there is a bat here. Attack it with the axe. All right, I killed the bat. I got 8 copper. There's a skeleton here. Down he goes. Let's now climb out of here. And I have gone up 24 hit points. And that's how this works. You go into a dungeon, you kill some monsters, you leave the dungeon, and you get hit points back. So what I'm going to do at this point is go into the dungeon, kill a whole bunch of things, and then I'm going to head to this town here. Hey, how you doing? I think that's an orc. Friendly orc, it looks like. Enter town, and here we can find the city of Pause. I believe Iolo the Bard is still here. Here we can find some more weapons and stuff. He's got a dagger and an axe. I already have, the best ones of those, so no need for me to get more. Then we have the hammer and anvil, where I can buy, pretty much the same thing. But the important thing here is that there is food. No, I'm hitting the wrong button. Part of me, it's like I hit B for buy, but B is for board. I have to do transact buy. We will buy 4 more things of food. Just try to keep it above 200 if I can. There's also the pub here. I have a cold one. Still didn't learn anything. I'm trying to get like just one roomer out of those pubs, but it's not happening. All right, buy transportation. He's got just the horse and cart. For now, I'm going to try to save my money. It's not worth it just yet to deal with that. And then the magic, we have unlock and ladder up, which I don't need just yet. Okay, let's try to get past Iolo. I think we did fine. So that's basically what's going to be happening is I'm going to go into the dungeon, kill a couple things, get back up the ladder, and when I start running low on food, I'm going to head back here to Pause, and I'm going to buy food. And that's it. I'm going to do that for a while. This, if you haven't played RPGs before, is known as grinding. We're going to be doing some grinding, where I do something repetitive in order to get an advantage of some sort or build something up. In this case, it's going to be experience, hit point, coin, and possibly food if I manage it properly. So when we come back next time, because that is going to do it for this episode of Ultima. When we come back next time, I will be stronger. I'll try not to get too much stronger. We'll talk about some of the other things that you can do in order to make this work better for you if you're interested in that. But that is going to do it for this part. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you laughed. Hope you learned. Hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.